Okay, it's 9:30. We can get started.
I'm going to start my video. Hold on one moment. There we go. Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Liz Kukla. I'm the Secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I'm going to read the preamble for you this morning, this November 1st, 2021. In compliance with notification requirements of the city's open meeting law in section 101.021 of the Codified Ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting have the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Please note that call-in users can unmute by using *6. Next slide, Mom. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube for public view. We have provided a link to the meeting for those who wish to speak on a particular case via our website and email. All requests to speak on a particular matter have been considered. We have also received emails from those who have provided written comment on a particular matter. Back to you, Madam Chair.
All right, just want to get my video going here. All right, you go ahead and call the roll, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Barnes?
Is here.
Ms. Faith?
I am present.
Ms. Brown?
Present.
Ms. Britt?
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Great.
And as you can see from the screen, there are no postponements or withdrawals today. And I believe we have two councilmen here. Not sure which one was first.
I believe
Council.
I didn't
Councilman
see.
Mooney was here.
Correct.
So Maurice, if we can go to Councilman Mooney's case, please.
Yes, I'm just looking which one that was. He was, okay, Bel Air Road. Very good.
Okay. As a courtesy to the council people, we are going to begin with Councilman Mooney's, who arrived first today. So that brings us to calendar number 21-161 at 11618 through 11622 Bel Air Road. Expo Services Inc. owner proposes to expand the existing gas station to include a convenience store and an auto repair shop in a C1 general retail business district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinance as stated in the agenda in the public record, of which there is one. And I believe, since my colleague is here, she will do the swearing in today.
Yes. I am now swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do, state your name and your address.
I do. John Rakowskis, architect, 4352 Pearl Road, Suite C, Cleveland, Ohio.
Brian Mooney, Cleveland City Council, Ward 11. Chad Dasher, West Town Community Development.
Is there anyone else?
Salem, 3270 West 117th Street.
Okay.
I'm
Madam
hoping that Mr. Karaja is here. He's supposed to be here. He's the owner. But I guess I can represent him.
I'm sorry, Mr. Karaja, I'm here.
Oh, okay, good.
22 Bel Air Road.
Okay. Madam Chair, everyone is sworn in.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. In our Records Administration Office, we found that in 1937, a permit was issued to erect an auto service building. 1939, a permit was issued to add a tire shop to a gas station. 1947, there was a permit for an addition to the rear of the service station. We found 2 variances on file for this address, calendar 89-143. A variance was granted to erect a car wash addition. And in calendar 90-245, a variance was granted to erect non-conforming signage. In the more recent history, we see that there were signage permits issued in 1999 and in September of 1999. Then we see that there were vacant lot cleanup fees assessed to the property, and they were paid between 2007 and 2008. And then, Madam Chair, I believe that's all we have that is relevant. Let me look at the second page, third page. There was a survey, lot split and consolidation issue to the property in 2019. And that's all that I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
You mean the legal standard?
That's exactly what I meant. You know what I meant, Lori.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Appellant is requesting an area variance from the distance requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. Who will be the spokesperson for this case?
I suppose I can be, unless Mr. Karaja wants to do this.
No, I'm here. We're trying to obtain occupancy permit for the garage. That's what we're applying for here.
No, you're not applying for occupancy permit here at Board of Zoning Appeals. You are trying to get your variances granted so that you can obtain a occupancy permit. So I need someone to go through the variances of this case, please.
John is John here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, the variance is for the 100-foot from residential. But basically, this use has been the use of the building for a long time. The auto repair garage is all we're asking for, really. That's been the use. We had letters that it's been in use with this present owner since 2006, and actually there was a earlier application in 2012 that was approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals. We don't have the drawings for that, and it was probably for the same purpose. And I don't know whether the Board of Zoning Appeals has a copy beyond just the letter of approval that we got, and we sent that copy along.
Madam Chair,
Liz?
to that comment, I'm not seeing it in the file. And it didn't come up in my research. I'm not sure if it was in under another address or something. I could double check for you. I can jump into the system. If you don't mind going forward for a minute.
Oh, that's fine. Okay, we'll hear from Westtown then. Chad?
Yeah, we had someone go down and talk to them last week. I wish we could have seen the plans. They said there was no plan. So these are drastically different from the ones that I saw when I met with them on March 25th of 2019. Kind of got mixed feelings on it. I would love to grant it because there's really nothing else this building is going to be able to be besides a car repair place, service station. Let's see what else you could really do there. There were some concerns with the plans that I'm just going back to previous notes that haven't changed from the ones I have in front of me now to the ones that you just put up there. Like for instance, this thing's got 7 curb cuts on it. Proposed, and just the overall condition of the place. I'd really like them to look into the general retail zoning code and see exactly what type of auto repair work they can do there and what they can't do there. Like I said, I'm kind of torn on this one. I don't, I'll concede that there's nothing else that can go in this building besides auto repair without a significant amount of money. That's never going to happen. But the other side is just how the overall appearance of this place, what the neighbors have said about it. And that's kind of my take on it. I'm kind of on the fence about. I would like to have seen these plans before today.
Yeah.
Okay, and Liz, I'm sorry, or Liz or Maurice, this letter we have up here, this is from neighbors.
Yes, Madam Chair, we got 2 letters in last week from 2 different neighbors opposing the variances.
And
All right. Well, while Liz is still digging that up, we can yield to Councilman Mooney, please.
Thank you. I guess I'm a bit perplexed, confused about this because I read what he's asking for, and I know the owner, and I've met with him before. So I met with him last week. He said he's not looking to do the things he's asking for. He says he's just going for an occupancy permit for auto repair, and that's all he was doing. And he said he had no written plans, no plans to show me, and that's all he was doing. So it's this whole thing. I mean, it's kind of confusing when you see this go forward because he says he's got no plans to do a convenience store or do these other things. He just is coming here today for an occupancy permit, which he related to at the beginning. So I don't know. I don't know if he's misinformed in what he's asking for, if I'm confused. If anybody could answer that, because it seems like he's asking more than just an occupancy permit for auto repair, which I'll concede that's all this has been in my memory is auto repair.
Okay, yes, as I stated at the beginning when the owner said that we don't grant occupancy permits here at BZA, but what happens is something, it could be an old business and they never had one to begin with. So that triggers them to have to get an occupancy permit. And what happens is then after the review, it finds that the existing business needs zoning variances that it didn't have before. So it triggers us and we have to review the case. And if they don't get the variances, they won't get the permit. So we don't grant the permit. They're here because the variances were triggered.
So what variances does he need? Is he getting variances? Is he asking for?
Maurice, can you bring the write-up back
Sure.
up on the screen, please?
Absolutely. He's only going for the use, for the...
Yeah, it's only a use permit. I mean, use variance he's going for right now. So
And
it's
there's
not
really
one.
there's no changes proposed. He's going for just for what he's doing right now. That's all he's asking for, is to be able to be
Right.
legal for what he's
Okay.
doing right now.
But I saw this writing that he in there about a convenience store, these other things.
No, it's not really. I mean, he sells some pop there, and that's about it. I mean, it's not really a convenience store. It's just a gasoline auto repair, and that's it.
That is part of the write-up. It says to expand the existing gas station to include a convenience store and auto repair shop.
Well, expanding means the auto repair. I mean, the gas station doesn't have auto repair necessarily.
Okay, so you're asking for a convenience store and an auto shop?
He's just asking for it to be legal the way it is right now.
So existing use right now is the auto repair, and he sells drinks. And so
Yes.
so the
That's
write-up
it.
is saying a convenience store, but he is not asking for a convenience store. And if that's the Liz,
No.
if that's the case, does this have to get or Lori, does this have to be re-advertised if the write-up is wrong?
Sorry, is the write-up wrong? As far as I understand it, he's asking all of the uses are legal because this is a C1 general retail. So by adding the convenience store and auto repair, that triggers the one area variance that the property is not at least 100 feet from a residential district, which has been there all the time. But when you're expanding it to make it a more intense use, you need to look at that particular variance as far as the 100 feet. That's the only variance here.
Yes, but he's saying that this has just been an existing condition the whole time, and so he just needs to get the permit. And so the one variance is here, but the write-up is saying to include a convenience store, and the owner is saying he didn't ask for a convenience store. So that's the point I'm asking. Is the write-up correct enough that we can continue?
Madam Chair, might we ask Ms. Kukla what's actually written on the building permit application that was filled out by the applicant or the architect?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so on the front of the application, it says use of long existing gasoline sales, auto repair, and convenience store.
Okay, so the owner wrote it up, or whoever filled out the application wrote it up that way. So everything is correct as far as the write-up and the advertisement. So we can move forward. So Councilman Mooney, are you clear on what's going on now?
I'm kind of clear. I'm still confused. I'm confused as to why convenience store is being asked for if he's not asking for it.
Maybe the convenience store is just a little bit exaggerated. He just means selling the pop and ice cream or whatever else he's selling in there. That's all. It's not really a convenience store as such.
Madam Chair, is Mr. Riccardi on the line? He might be able to tell us what would entail a convenience store.
The convenience store language was added because the applicant asked for it on the application.
And Mr. Riccardi, would selling of soda and ice cream, would those situations justify it to be called a convenience store by the zone, as far as the zoning code is concerned?
Well, it's I guess we could call it retail sales. We could call it a store. We could call it a market. And I mean, the important thing is what is the activity that's going on there.
And I guess I would also point out, and Mr. Riccardi, you can correct me if I'm wrong, all of those uses are permitted in general retail.
Correct. They are permitted in general retail. Right. Now, one point that should be brought up is that that parcel behind it which if you look at the aerial photo, looks like to be some sort of a driveway before, that is the residential district. The residential district doesn't start where the house is. It starts at that driveway, which I'm unclear whether it's incorporated or consolidated or not. There you see the zoning map. And so that hence the building is a lot closer to from the naked eye to a residential district, than you would think. So and so all your landscaping and fencing requirements would be required at that rear lot line of the bordering that part of the residential district, not just where the house is. There's also the requirement, of course, of the landscaping, but this is all incorporated in the 100 feet from the residence district that's cited in the adjudication order.
Okay, but they're only here for the use permit. So there's no write-up about landscaping or anything. So it looks like the write-up is correct because it's coming from the application itself. So I believe we can continue. Chad, you got your hand up?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm looking at these plans that are up on the screen right now. Are these the new plans that you plan going forward with on this site? It's either to the owner or the architect could answer that one.
If that's the ones that were submitted, yes.
Yeah, because I have this is what I want to make sure. I've got these ones here that we all went over on back in 2019. And this
he had
added fast food, 2 drive-throughs. Because if this is the eventual plans, my vote is definitely a no. Or my recommendation is that. I know I don't have a vote. I apologize for saying that, but yeah, I just want to make sure that those plans, John, that you didn't share with us back in 2019 are still.
No,
yeah.
We had been trying to do a lot of other things on this site, but it turned out to be not feasible. And all he wants to do is to be able to be legal with his current use as exactly as it is.
Okay. All right. So the plans that expire 12/31/21, or that's what the stamp said that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Chad, the ones
that are up there right now
the plans that are on the screen are the plans they have submitted. So these
Okay,
are the plans
okay.
that we are all using right now. Okay.
Okay. Understood.
Thank
Thank you.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yeah, I just about to call on you, Liz. Go ahead.
A few things. If Mr. Rollins can skip to the floor plan, we can see how much of the proposed area is going to be used for a store or convenient store that they were talking about. And the second thing is to Mr. Rakowski's, I wasn't able to find that case in our database. So if you have a calendar number, I should be able to pull up the resolution. I don't see it in the file either. You said that it was submitted. I don't see it here. So if you have it in front of you.
You didn't get that. I thought I sent a number of things, and wait 1 second while I pull that up.
And also,
right.
Madam Chair, I do
Yeah.
have several letters of opposition. I don't know how many folks are here today. If you want me to read 1 or 2 of them, and they all seem to have similar concerns.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah, you just read the summaries of all of those, please.
Okay. One person, Dorothy Pemberton, I think she may actually be on the line.
That's her letter.
Or Tracy Pemberton.
She wasn't sworn in, so go ahead.
Okay, she has reasons to oppose this. Number one, health reasons. Her home is directly behind the business, and she believes that the expansion would be detrimental. They have two small children there with health issues, a gas station, an auto shop, releases fumes, and the autos that are parking there, it could make their situation worse, as well as rodents that could come from the property. Number two, the noise is already a nuisance. When they moved in 2003, they knew there would be some noise, but the noise is constant, horns blowing for minutes and yelling. If they were allowed to expand, the noise would get continuously worse. And three, she's concerned that her property values will just diminish. Then another person, her name is Shadi Taha, or I'm sorry, his or her name is Shadi Taha. I'm not sure if they're here on this. They have many concerns, and they do cite the practical difficulty, the Duncan standards. They believe that there's no practical difficulty or unnecessary hardship that it adheres and is peculiar to the premises. They request the variance to increase the marketability of the property for sale to the owner. Mini mart and gas station, fully automatic car wash, high traffic. This is the way they advertised it. And they submitted an exhibit from Howard Hanna as a mini mart, gas station, fully automatic car wash with detailing, car repair shop, car lot, 10 to 15 cars, high traffic area, cash flow 120K. I'm not sure if this is relevant though to the variance issue. Again, they state in number two, there's no practical difficulty or necessary hardship inherent and peculiar to the property. Adjacent residential properties will suffer substantial detriment as a result of the requested variance. The variance will adversely affect traffic and utilities and garbage. I think those are the two that I had. There were a few more. I'm not sure if you have any more, Maurice. Actually, we only had two letters here.
Just the two I put up on screen, Madam Chair.
So that is that, Madam Chair. And I don't know if Mr. Rakowskis found the calendar number.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's BZ 1203-7794.
BZ 1203-7794. That's not a Board of Zoning Appeals. That's not a calendar number for the Board of Zoning
Appeals.
That's,
Oh, it isn't?
no,
Sounds like a building
that's
and housing permit number, maybe.
Yeah, it's a permit number.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I mean, the site plan zoning application for the premises listed above, that's this address, is approved. So, and we don't have the drawings for that, and the building department doesn't have the drawings for that, but something was approved for that site at that time. And that was before I got involved. And again, when the word expansion is a little bit of a misnomer there, because it just means having the auto repair being legal. And it's been there since at least 2006 with this present owner, and it was there way before that. You listed it as kind of a use when you went through the history of the site. And it's just that it doesn't have an occupancy permit for this. And there's still a lot of properties out there that just have been continuous uses that just haven't been, given an occupancy permit yet. And that's all he wants to be able to do what he's doing right now.
We have it. We got it now.
Madam Chair, can I ask either the applicant or the architect exactly what type of auto repair is being done at this location?
Mr. Karaja, I think you should answer that.
Auto repair, complete auto repair.
So do you do auto body work? Do you change transmissions?
No body work, just mechanical.
Do you do transmissions?
We don't. Brakes, rotors, tires, all the service, alignment.
Okay, thank you. Because I know that depending on what type of auto repair you do there, it determines whether it's actually a permitted use in general retail or not.
It's a full auto repair. No body shop.
Okay.
Madam Chair, we have Mr. Dasher and Mr. Mooney with their Mooney with their hands raised.
I saw that. Go ahead, Councilman.
Thanks. I guess I'm concerned, so you don't do any body work or painting there, is that what you're saying? Sir?
Mr. Karaja, could you answer the question? I think maybe he's muted.
I'm sorry, we don't do body work. It's just mechanic work.
No painting?
We don't do painting, no.
All right, well, I'm just curious, 'cause when I look in the back and at your plan, I mean, I'm not sure if this is part of it, but it looks like in those drawings you submitted, you only have 4 parking spaces, but there's always a bunch of junk cars in the back that have body damage and parked at weird angles. You know, there's always junk vehicles in behind. What are
All
you
the
doing with
all these
those?
vehicles we do mechanical work on. We replace the suspension. We do all the mechanical work necessary, and these get sent over back to the owners to continue the work on these cars.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Chad? Was that your hand up from before, or do you have another question?
I think you're muted, Mr. Dasher.
I'm sorry. Mr. Kreiser, the question I have is, I was out there on Friday to take a look, and no less than a dozen unlicensed vehicles. Some of them smashed up in the front that really looked like they needed body work.
All these are vehicles owned by neighboring dealerships. They bring them to us. We do suspension work, and they take it over to them, and they finish the work they need to finish.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I mean, a car where the front's completely smashed in,
Yeah.
getting suspension work done on it already.
Yeah, all these cars get finished, and then the dealerships or the owners, they end up picking them up and sending them over to whatever they need to take them to.
All right.
All right, well, I'm gonna close out the comment period and hand it over to the board. Board, any questions, comments?
Madam Chair, I'm just to Mr. Dasher's point, looking at the photographs that we have on the screen now and in the lower right-hand corner. It's evident that there's a vehicle that appears to be without a license plate on the rear of the black vehicle. And the third one in from the right is got a complete smashed in front end. So it substantiates Mr. Dasher's observation that he had while he was there, apparently.
Yeah, I believe the gentleman has answered that question twice, though. He says that they do the repair.
Right.
And then hand the smashed vehicle over to whoever's gonna repair the smashing part.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if any other board members have questions.
I do.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to make a note for Madam Chair. There is a gentleman with his literal hand raised, Mohammed. I'd like to get Salim, just for future reference. Sorry to cut you off, Ms. Brown.
I don't think he was sworn in, though, so you'll have to wait a second. Go ahead, Ms. Brown.
Madam Chair, yes, I believe he was sworn in.
Okay.
And then I would defer to that comment and close out with the board.
Okay, go ahead.
We bought the house behind it, and I'm not sure if they're going to expand it or not, but we'd be opposed to the expansion for the reasons the other neighbors cited with concerning the property value.
Thank you. I believe we have cleared up that the property itself will not be expanding outside of its existing footprint. It's just that the write-up is because they're adding, per se, the auto use, that it's written up as an expansion, but they're not going outside of the existing footprint.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have 3 questions, and I'll just put them out there and have them answer them at one time. You showed us a floor plan of the main building. Are you using the car wash building? I didn't see a floor plan and would like to know how that would be used in this plan.
The car wash, it's been existing. There's still a car wash over there. We're using it right now. It's operating.
Okay, so it's operating as a car wash.
Yeah, it's been operating as a car wash. Yeah, no changes on that one.
And there's no need for a variance or use related to that. That's all within the
No.
zoning.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Thank you. As it relates to the repair services, do you, sir, as the owner, run that business or do you rent it out?
No, we serve as the owner.
Okay. Do you, of the business and the property?
Yes, the business and the property.
Okay. And do you have auto sales here? Auto sales was one of the complaints by
No, we
one of
don't.
the neighbors.
No, we don't do auto sales.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair?
But I'm sorry, ma'am, Madam Chair. And have you been doing the repairs as a continuous use of business since you bought this in 2006? You
Yeah.
just are now asking for the permit?
Yes, we purchased this property as a service station in 2006. We've been using it the same way ever since.
Thank you.
Okay, Liz, did you have a question?
I did, thank you. Have we heard the hours of operation yet for the, from the appellant? And it seems that the storage of vehicles is not shown on the site plan here. And from the photos, it looks as though they're kind of all over the place. So I'm not sure, I guess there'll be a question for Rick Riccardi. Is the applicant actually supposed to show where the storage of vehicles is gonna take place? And is there specific screening for that kind of storage? But first, I guess, could we hear the hours of operation?
We operate from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m.
On what day, sir?
Monday through Saturday on the auto shop. On snack shop, we do 7 days a week, 9 to 8.
And then to Mr. Riccardi, if he could answer, how should the storage of vehicles, pending repair be dealt with? Is this something that needs to be at the rear of the building? Is that also something that needs to be shown on the site plan as to where it's supposed to happen?
I can state that an auto repair operation is only allowed to have 4 vehicles overnight at it in any unscreened area. So, I mean, when you see a plan in the beginning like this, I mean, it's good if they put, we're going to store vehicles here, here's our screened area, but of course, what you see is just a plan and a parking area. So, I mean, that's the regulation. Now, we all know other vehicles are brought in. I mean, this is why there's a regulation for auto repair establishments so close to residential districts. And this is why it becomes an auto junkyard storage place. And of course, you can't detect that in the beginning, looking at the plan. We have history of it now, you can see it. So it's all things to go into the consideration of the variance. Thanks.
There
Madam
is.
Chair, one.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. We have a lot of conversation here that I'm about to shut down in a minute. So go ahead.
Can I just make another statement here that there is screening? If you can see in the photographs that are shown right now, the upper right hand corner, if you look at the left hand side, but there is a screening and a buffer area on the property line that abuts the residence.
Okay, thank you. Maurice, did you have something else to
Yeah, Madam Chair, I guess I would ask, I noticed that on the plan there is, they do show wheel stops, they also show striping, and I think part of the problem with this site and the kind of haphazard way that cars are strewn all over the site is probably due to the fact that there is no striping anywhere on the site. So I really do think that as a condition of approval, we should at the very minimum ask for the striping that is proposed, that is shown as existing on the plan, actually be added to the site, may add a little bit more organization to the site so that we don't have cars just kind of parked all over the place. And it might also be better if they clearly delineated that the driveway to the car wash is actually the driveway to the car wash and just not left as a place to dump extra cars.
Great point. Whoever comes up with the motion, make sure you add those conditions, Maurice. I think those are good.
Totally support that.
All right, great. Well, I'll entertain a motion unless my board has any other questions.
Chair, sorry it took me so long, but I was trying to think about this here. Do you mind? One quick second.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm just worried about the safety of the people coming to shop at the convenience store, buy gas, whatever they may be doing. What are the safety rules for that? Because if you got a car wash, you got an auto body shop, you got a mechanic shop going on. What about the selling of the drinks and stuff drinks and chips that's in there? What are the safety? And if you're doing anything with torches going around gas tanks, I think that's very dangerous. Just think about that with your neighbors, sir.
Okay, you guys heard what the board member said, so make sure you're careful about those certain things.
There's separation between the store and the garage.
Can I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, excuse me, I'm a little tongue-tied. I don't think my other board members have a motion, so I will go ahead. We've heard testimony from the councilman and from the CDC, and I don't think that they're particularly pro or con either way. We've got multiple letters of stating that they're opposing this, but this has been operating as a gas station with repair bays for some time. And to Mr. Ruland's point, I think the plan that we're looking at on the screen now has measures for striping and car stops, and I think those need to be conditional to the variance. So with that in mind, I'm going to ask the appellant that this variance, if we grant it, if the vote is granted, grants it, that it's going to be conditional, that we're going to ask for parking space striping, we're going to ask for car stops, and we're going to ask for a delineated area that is striped and screened for the cars that are, as Mr. Riccardi pointed out, 4 vehicles can be left overnight in an unscreened area. So we want that area delineated for any vehicles that are left overnight. And with those conditions, I think we could go ahead and pass the variance.
Can I have a second, please?
Madam Chair, I don't know if I could jump in. This is Liz.
Yeah,
The
hold
applicant-
on
Okay.
hold on one sec. I just trying to
Madam
hear a
Chair,
second.
I will second the motion. But I have a friendly amendment to the motion. I'm not sure if I'm doing that correctly.
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Thank
go
you.
ahead with any discussion.
Thank you. And that was that the appellant said that there's no expansion of services. And that was not, I don't know if we can put that in our motion, but really it is a continuation with a variance for what's been going on, not an expansion.
Correct.
Yes, we can add that. Okay, go ahead, Liz.
Madam Chair, if we could confirm with the appellant that they are willing to create that extra screening area in the back, or is Ms. Faith just asking for the area that they're going to store it to be labeled on the site plan? Just for clarification.
Yeah, I believe it was asking for labeling because they're not asking for a variance for any kind of screening right now. So I believe it was just to be shown on the plan where vehicles will be stored. But I will have the appellant chime in if they will agree to those terms.
We agree. We could do the screening and do the parking lot lines.
Okay, great. Liz, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, secondly, Ms. Faith mentioned the only 4 cars on the lot overnight. Is that something that the appellant is also going to agree to? There are a lot of cars on there right now.
Well, I think that'll be up to building and housing to come get them if they don't.
Right.
So
That was to Mr. Riccardi's statement, Ms. Kukla. He stated that only 4 vehicles are allowed overnight in an unscreened area. And the appellant has agreed just now in his statement that he will add a screened area. So that should allow for the 4 vehicles that might be kept overnight. I would think he would make the screened area adequate for 4 vehicles. Is that correct?
well, he's allowed 4 not screened.
Not
so
screened,
any other,
right.
yes. So any more vehicles other than 4 need to be screened.
Correct.
That would
right.
be up to building and housing to,
Right.
enforce that.
Right.
So the language, Madam Chair, that I'll put in the resolution is that it is understood that only 4 cars will be stored overnight, and any number over that will be stored in a screened area.
Yes.
Okay. You ready for me to call the roll? I'll do that.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Ms. Barnes? Ms. Barnes? Okay, I'll go on to Ms. Brown.
Yes.
Ms. Faith?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Calendar 21-161 is granted conditionally. It'll be ratified the Monday after we receive that updated drawing. And then we will send you a letter.
All right, thank you. I believe we're on to
We still have Councilman Brancatelli with us?
Brancatelli's case. Yes.
Yes, we do. Here. All right. Excellent. So again, as a courtesy to our council person, we're going to take Councilman Brancatelli's case next. That's calendar number 21-164 at 4673 Lanchester Avenue. Patrick Dugan, owner, proposes to install an HVAC unit in the side yard in an A1 one-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 2. And to my colleague to swear the people in.
Thank you. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand and reply, I do. State your name and your address.
I do.
Can you
Tony
guys hear me?
Francatelli, Cleveland City Council.
Continue.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm new to this WebEx. I'm sorry. I'm Jeremy from Blended Sons. Yes,
And your address, please?
The company address is 344 4th Street, Barberton, Ohio, 44203.
And are you representing the owner?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Anyone else? Madam
I
Chair?
do believe I'm the only one. I do believe I'm the only one here today.
Thank you. Madam Chair?
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. I wasn't unable to find any records in our records administration office for this address. There are no variances on file. And then in our more recent history in our Acela system, I found that permits were issued to replace sliding doors and windows, to re-roof the property. There was a permit, I believe, was issued for exterior alterations to install 12 rooftop solar panels. And the other permits were electrical and not relevant. And that's all that I have. Oh, also, we do have an authorization letter signed by the owner to for Mr. Oh my God, I can't remember his name. I'm sorry, but for the representative to present the case today.
Thank you. That was
Madam-
going to be my next question.
Madam Chair, we have a Divine Anderson that would like to be sworn in. She said she had problems with her Wi-Fi a second ago.
Okay, is she on the call
I
now?
don't.
Hi,
It
I'm
looks
Divine
like it.
Anderson. I'm here on behalf of Oak Brook and Community Development Corporation, 274 Pearl Road.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Brown, go ahead and swear her in, please. I think you're muted.
I also need the language.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll get that right up there for you.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? State your name, address, and say, I do.
Divine, and I do, Divine Anderson, 4274 Pearl Road.
Thank you. Madam Chair?
Thank you. I believe we had the history. We can move on to the legal standard, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Appellant is requesting an area variance from the side yard and side yard encroachments requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Okay, Mr. Harper, go ahead. It looks like that the unit has already been installed, so this is a forgiveness case, maybe?
Just to go through everything, so we did this work in June, and we pulled a permit for the mini split unit. That's the taller air conditioner in the picture, the tan unit. Ultimately, we made a mistake with the permit. We didn't pull the complete permit, and we didn't know that until the inspector had went out and said that it can't be on the side of the house. When we went through our records, Cleveland could be confusing for us sometimes. I mean, we pull 10,000 permits a year in Ohio, and we simply made an error. We didn't know that the equipment could not be on the side of the home. So we just did our normal business. We pulled a permit, we installed it. Come to find out later, we made the mistake. So I went downtown and explained to everybody, and then here we are today. This area of Cleveland wasn't even on our list that had exceptions to the side of the house. So we had challenges there even with the permit process itself with COVID and everything. Typically, we have about 5 full-time employees dedicated to permits. And those girls that have been doing it the past few years for various reasons don't work here any longer, whether it was because they can't be in an office or they got married, had a baby, that kind of thing. So with the new girls, we've had a lot of challenges with permits. So we know we made a mistake, so we just wanted the customer, we already had the work done. They spent a lot of money. We did a very nice installation, and here we are looking to get everything straightened out.
So you're here because you want to keep this air conditioner in the side yard?
Yeah, at this property, there's nowhere else to put it anywhere on the property.
Okay.
The back of the house is a complete deck. There's no open area. Then you have the garage, so it's just very tight space. The side of the house where the unit sits is 5 feet from the neighbor's driveway. So there wasn't even the house is 5 feet. It's not even 10 feet away. So it was just tough, and we just didn't realize that. Otherwise we would have said we couldn't do it.
Okay, I was going to ask, was that the owner's driveway or the neighbor's driveway? So that being the neighbor's driveway, that does put a considerable amount of distance between the unit and the neighbor next door. Okay, I'll go to Divine. Do you want to chime in now?
Yeah, so we are Oak Brook Community Development Corporation. We've been following it pretty closely, and we kind of are in agreement with, we're hoping that the unit can stay on the side of the home. We've been in contact with, the neighbors, the people who live in the home, and there hasn't been any problems. We actually a letter from the neighbors saying that it was okay. And for that reason, we would hope that the unit could stay where it is.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Councilman?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the board and commission. Just for clarity purposes, on the permit itself, it clearly states it cannot be installed on the side yard. So it does state that on the permit. So the first permit they pulled, they knew that they could not install it on the side yard. So it wasn't a matter of looking up code, it was just a matter of reading the permit. Secondly, the family did build a substantial deck in the back, which created the issue of not being able to install the air conditioning unit in the back. So they created that issue that they would now have to install it as a side yard if they wanted to install it legally or reduce the size of their deck. So all those factors being played in. The good news is I want to thank Old Brooklyn for reaching out to the neighbors. The neighbors were in support of leaving that at the location of the side yard. So with the neighbor support and with Old Brooklyn support, I would support and request that this be allowed to stay at this location.
Great, thank you, Councilman. I will open it up to the board for any other questions or entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I have no questions. I think with the support of the councilman and the CDC, and again, thanks to the CDC for reaching out to the neighbors, it's evident that in the photograph, you can see the deck at the rear of the house. So I think, and again, we've noted that it is the neighbor's driveway, so there is probably 17 feet between or more between the unit and the neighbor's house. So I move that we go ahead and approve this variance.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Member Brown, I second.
Member Brown, second. Can you call the roll, please, Ms. Kukla?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Faith?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Calendar 21-164 is granted. It'll be ratified next week, and we will send you a letter.
Thank you all, and don't let Maurice eat all the candy.
Good luck. Good luck, Councilman.
Thank you,
tomorrow.
Councilman.
Bye now.
Okay,
So do I just
moving
clock
on.
out now? Okay.
I'm sorry.
Do I just leave now? We're good to go?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're good to go.
Good, Mr. Harper.
Yeah, you can
You
go.
guys have a great
Continue.
week.
Thank you. You too.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, go ahead. Ms.
Okay,
Faith.
sorry, I had a thought run through my mind and I needed to clear that through. So, just little personal thing. All right, so I think that takes care of our council people. So we'll loop back to the beginning. And so that's calendar number 21-160. This is at 3532 West 41st Street. Drama Free Ministries owner proposes to change the use from a store and office to a restaurant in a C2 local business district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are two. To Member Brown.
You're muted, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand and reply, I do. State your name and your address.
I do. Henry Flanoy, 3532 West 41st Street, Cleveland, Ohio, 44109. Good morning.
Anyone
I do.
else?
Matthew Moss, 601 Lakeside Avenue, City Planning Commission.
Madam Chair?
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If Mr. Willens can skip to the site, or sorry, the zoning map, please. I found that the zoning is actually general retail in this case, and that it hasn't been changed since
Hello,
the,
I'm sorry, we didn't get to say that we're here.
Okay.
Here for the 41st case?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Brown.
Okay, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? You please state your name, your address, and say I do.
I do. Rolando Carrasquillo, Senior Minister at 3562 Fulton Road.
I do. Abigail Carrasquillo, Office Supervisor at 3562 Fulton Road.
Thank you. Madam Chair?
Thank you. For those two who just were sworn in, can you please spell your first and last names? We do have a recorder that does our minutes, and we just want to make sure we properly represent everyone's name.
Rolando, Rolando, Carrasquillo, Carrasquillo.
Henry, I'm sorry.
And then Abigail, Abigail, Carrasquillo, Carrasquillo.
Thank you very much. All right, back to you, Ms. Kukla.
thank you, Madam Chair. As you can see, the property is in fact zoned general retail and not local retail. And that has been the zoning since 1929. I found very few records for this address in our records administration office. I only found in 1913 a permit was issued to erect a one-story porch addition. In 1945, a permit was issued to install brick veneer. There are no variances on file, and in the more recent history, we only found that a permit was issued to re-roof a two-story building. And then there are other electrical permits that were issued, and that's all that I have, Madam Chair.
Okay, so is the write-up saying it's in local retail though? Liz?
Yeah, the
Yes,
write-up says, the write-up on our agenda says local retail. Double check with what was on the notice of non-performance. I'm assuming that the notice also said local retail.
Because will that change the legal standard, Lori? You might be muted if you.
I believe that it would not.
I'm sorry, I didn't unmute myself. Yeah, the legal standard will not change. The use is allowed in both districts. The only variance we have here is for parking, which would be the same no matter which district.
Okay, great. All right, we can continue. All right, go ahead. Go ahead with the legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting area variances from the off-street parking requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Fornor, will you be representing yourself here?
I will.
Okay, go ahead.
We have been in this area since 2013, and we do our food program here every month. We've serviced over 5,000 families in the area and have just tried to be relevant in this community. I requested to put a restaurant in, and we've pulled all the proper permits. The fire marshal as well as fire prevention has come. We've been passed as it relates to those permits. The parking lot was one of the areas that was in question, and we've since had that taken care of. I believe the new pictures have been forwarded to the board, howbeit it was late, but I think you guys have them. Also, Ron's Construction came in and he paved the parking lot, and it's been striped. So we're just requesting some help here to be able to move forward.
Okay, Maurice, can you go back to the write-up again? What of the parking do they need to do? Forgot that quick.
Madam Chair,
Okay.
it doesn't state in there exactly what the requirements actually are for this site. It just gives you the broad definitions.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Mr. Riccardi,
So-
do you have those numbers?
No, perhaps the gentleman could state how many seats will be there or how much floor space will be devoted to patron use. Also, it seems as if he's saying that he's created a parking lot behind it or paved, and I'm unaware if a permit was obtained to do that paving and create that parking lot from the gravel area in the back.
Okay. All of that was done through Ron's Construction, so I hired him. I have the invoice right here if you would like to see it. But yeah, that was taken care of. And as it relates to the seating, I have 3 booths as well as 6 tables that seat 2 chairs apiece. And the letter that I received from the city, it stated that I would have to have it would be 1 car or 4 people per vehicle, and that would be the number of parking spaces that I would need. I currently have 10 spaces, and as well as a handicap parking area out there now.
But you're saying you're unaware if Ron has obtained a permit for what he did.
Well, I hired him to do the work, sir. I don't he was it was my understanding that a permit was pulled by this construction company to do this work.
Yeah, I mean, there's no permit in our records and showing it, so that's why it's not reflected today. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so did anyone calculate how many spaces he actually needs? I'm surprised that wasn't in the write-up.
How many tables he said he's gonna have?
It's 6 small tables. It's 2 seats per table. And there's 3 booths on the far corner, which seats 4 people. So according to the information that I received, it said that I would have to have 4 people per vehicle, plus 2 for staff.
Is that showing it's showing 989, 989 of the space devoted to the patron use, which would equal 10 spots plus whatever employees you would have working there. If you would have 2 or 3 employees, then you would need 12 or 13, and so on. Thanks.
Like, this should have been worked out ahead of time. So how many employees do you have?
There 2. There's another angle where there are 3 more spaces on the other end.
Okay, so you have 2 employees, so you'll need 12 or 13 spaces.
Right.
And it looks like the parking lot has been paved, but if we don't have a permit, we're not going to pay attention to that right now. So you need 13 spaces and you have 10.
Right. If you go to the other photo, there's spaces on the back half too.
Okay, no, you're testifying that you have 10 spaces, so we'll take it as 10 spaces.
Well, Madam Chair?
Yes,
This is
Liz.
We'll need a site plan showing those things. The site plan that was submitted does not seem to match what we see here. These, the lines are totally different.
Okay. Yeah, you're gonna have to go back to your contractor or whoever and try to get an updated plan to show the paving and draining of your lot and how many spaces you have there. So we will need that before any decision is carried forward. You understand?
I do. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
And because there are quite a few food service places around here that only have street parking. And I guess I'm trying to understand why it's I want to be correct in what I'm saying, but I'm trying to understand why I have to be held to a different standard, I guess.
Well, first of all, you don't know that. Those restaurants may have come to us for a variance and then they didn't have to have those spaces. So you can't go by what you think you see on the street about what's going on. You have to look up and see what kind of zoning variances those places received.
Okay. Well,
So
can
that's why you're here for your parking, because your parking doesn't meet the requirement. And so you have to come get a variance so that you can continue. And so you don't know if those other businesses have done that or not.
And I don't, and you're absolutely right. That was just a question that I was asking.
Yes.
So how does a variance apply to me then?
That's why you're here. You don't have the enough spaces required for what you want to do in the building. So that's why you're here to ask us to give you a variance so that you can use the spaces that you will have currently. So so that's why you're here in this hearing now. You understand
Okay.
that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll want to hear from Matt right now.
Madam Chair, I don't have much else to add other than that it seems like it's possible for this applicant to comply with the code based on the size of the lot. It doesn't sound like whatever paving was done was permitted, and just from looking at the photos Maurice provided, it didn't seem like it was done to code. The ADA spot, for example, doesn't seem to have the appropriate buffers. So I would encourage the applicant to work with her contractor and ensure that if they're paying someone to do work on their property, that they obtain a permit from the city. So it seems like there's a way for the owner to comply with the code without needing a zoning variance.
Thank you. I would probably agree with that. Let's see. Let's hear from Rolando and Abby. Are you all
Yeah, right
are
here.
you all neighbors?
Yes, the only
Okay.
concern we have, if he has a parking lot that he's able to fulfill the requirement for the cars, we have no problem. What we were worried about is that we're like about a 1 minute walking distance. We have our church. We have been there for 26 years, and we have had problems before with people wanting to park illegally. We have a lot of elderly people who park at a parking lot. And what we were worried about that he has more clients that are able to park at his parking lot. They're gonna find a way where to park. That's what we were worried about. So if he's only gonna have like he said, 2 people per table, 6 tables, that's only 12 people, and then 3 booths of another 12 people, that's a maximum of 24 people. Then we won't have a problem. What we don't want is having people going to the restaurant parking at our parking lot when we having services. We don't want that, especially when we have older people that go to the church. And like the other day, we had an incident that a car that wasn't from us, they were going to the store next door, and they ran through that driveway because I guess they were in a hurry and they wanted to buy something. And we had to go out there and tell them, look, you're in a private parking spot, you almost ran into somebody. So what we don't want is people from the restaurant parking at our parking spot. That's the only thing we're worried about. For the rest, we're like we said in the letter, we are happy that people are moving up. There's going to be a restaurant. That's okay, as long as we don't have cars parked in our parking spot. That's all, our parking lot. That's
Okay.
what we're worried about.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, Mr. Flournoy, make sure you're a good neighbor and make sure, if you can, as best as you can, make sure your folks do not park in the church parking lot.
Okay.
Did anybody else sign up? Nope, I think that's it.
Chair,
Oh,
I have a
yes.
question. This is Liz.
Mhm.
So the site plan we're looking at does not seem to match the aerial photograph.
It does not, no.
And I guess that's more of a statement. The question would be, are we gonna have we need a more accurate site plan? It does seem like he could fit at least 12 or 10 spaces there,
Yeah.
which would basically meet I think they said 12 to 13 spaces would be required. It seems like he should be able to fit 10 in there. We just would need to see the site plan showing the building and the actual configuration of the parking lot.
Yeah, Mr. Flournoy, you need to definitely get back with your contractor to make sure, first of all, that he did everything legally. And secondly, that maybe that you can reconfigure the parking lot to try to get like a couple more spaces in there. But I'll turn it over to my board now if they have any more questions or comments for you.
Okay.
Do any other board members have questions? Okay, Madam Chair, so we've discussed the fact that the drawing for the parking lot, the site, doesn't match the aerial photo for the site. And we've discussed the fact that we're going to need an updated plan from Mr. Flournoy, from his contractor, that's between you and the contractor, to get an updated site plan showing your parking and your draining, and have that submitted to us. As the city planner stated for your neighborhood, the ADA parking lot or parking space needs to be better delineated so that it's completely compliant with ADA. And you're probably going to have to work with your contractor on reconfiguring some of the parking spaces so that you can get a better use of the space. So with those conditions, we'd need a new site plan, and we need to have it shown with all the parking spaces and the paving and the draining on it. But with those conditions, which I think you can probably achieve, I move that we go ahead and approve this variance.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Ms. Barnes with the second. Before we call the roll, Mr. Flournoy, I just want to ask what your hours of operation will be for the business.
It'll be 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday.
You'll be closed on Sunday?
Yes.
Okay, well, I think that helps the church folks out. They
Yeah.
won't have to worry about that crossover.
Yes,
Okay.
and then it helps us because we're open Sunday mornings and in the evenings after 6. So that works well.
Great.
Okay, great.
Thank
All
you.
right, we have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please, Ms. Kukla.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Bates?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Calendar 21-160 is granted conditionally, pending the site plan showing the details that were outlined by Ms. Bates. Once we receive that site plan, we will ratify the case and send you a letter.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Flournoy. Good luck to you.
All right. Thank you all.
You as well. All right. So, I think perhaps Miss Grigona should run for city council so she could always be at the front of the line since she's here with us again.
Well,
So-
normally she has like 12 cases, so.
Exactly. So we'll move on to calendar number 21-162 at 2106 West 18th Street. Matt and Colleen Burgess, owners, propose to erect a 10-foot by 20-foot pre-manufactured in-ground swimming pool in a D1 two-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinance, as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one. To Member Brown.
So I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand and reply, I do, your name and your address.
I do. My name is Haley Novak. I'm representing the client. I'm from Horton Harper Architects, and our address is 812 Huron Road East, Suite 305 in Cleveland. And I believe Matt Burgess, the owner, is also on the call.
I am on the call. This is Matt Burgess, owner of 2106 West 18th Street. Thank you.
Morning, Donna Grigonis, Neighborhood Development, Fremont West, and Ohio. My office address is 3308 Lorraine Avenue. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This property was originally zoned semi-industry in 1929. In 1949, it was changed to the current two-family residential district. In the Records Administration Office, I found that in 1908, a permit was issued to repair a dwelling on the site. 1963, a certificate of occupancy was issued stating that the use of the property or the structure on the property was as a 5-suite apartment building. There are no variances on file, and in the more recent history in our cell system, I found that in 2017, a permit was issued for interior exterior alterations to install solar panels. And I believe that we do have an addition that was erected in March of this year. And that was, I don't believe we saw that for a variance. So that's all that I have that's relevant, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Appellant is requesting an area variance from the swimming pool location requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive appellant of substantial property rights, and the granting the variance not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Novak, are you speaking for the owner? So go ahead.
Yes, I am. Thanks. Yeah, I'm here to represent Matt and Colleen Burgess. They own the house at 2106 19th Street. We recently did add the addition that was just shown, yes, in that picture there. The addition is to the existing brick house, and it's to the north of the house. And then you can see that there's to the north, yes, a large yard
There you go.
that
There's your site
consists,
plan.
perfect, yeah. It consists of a couple different parcels that Matt and Colleen own. Due to the hardship that they have of not having a real true rear yard, we are proposing to place a prefabricated in-ground pool to the north of the house in the side yard. We are proposing that this would be set back beyond the addition that was recently added, that kind of addition that's at the north towards the street. So we do think we are meeting the intent of the code to have the pool towards the rear half of the property. And we are also taking additional steps to screen the pool from the street. There is an existing fence, existing pretty lush and dense vegetation there as well. You know, the client values this privacy for this pool as well. So for those reasons, we do think it's not going to have a large impact on the street. We also feel like the impact on neighbors is pretty limited here due to the fact that, as I mentioned, these 3 parcels to the north are all owned by the client, as well as the fact that to the west, the parcel or property owners to that side are separated from this yard from with an alley and a large, I think at least 8-foot tall wall. So I don't think the pool will be perceived from that side either. And I think due to that same fact, Tremont West Economic Development felt that kind of for the same reason that the impact to the neighborhood outside the residents that would get the notice for this BZA hearing aren't really impacted by the pool. Happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you. This is a rather large yard, so I'm really feeling like this neighborhood impact would be quite minimal. Since she called you out, I'll go to Donna Gregonis now.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. Thanks for always listening to my comments. I appreciate it. Economic Development Committee and Tremont West don't have an issue with this as presented. The plantings and fence and etc. It seems that it would be a minimal, if any, impact to the street at all, and it's private, very private there, so it shouldn't be an issue. But we do always recommend that things go through community process, but we also understand why this may not have. So that's all. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Is anyone from City Planning here, or was that you, Maurice?
Matt is online, but we do support this variance. It's going to have very, very minimal impact on the neighborhood. It's already heavily screened on all sides, so we would support this variance.
Agreed. I'll turn it over to the board. If you have any questions, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, no questions. I think this is a generous size yard. The pool will scale nicely into it. And I think we have the support of city planning and the CDC. I think, it hasn't gone through their processes completely, but I think there's, as we've noted, minimal impact to anybody that's adjacent to this. So with that, I move that we go ahead and approve this variance.
Can I have a second, please?
Member Brown, I second.
Member Brown, second. Call the roll, please.
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Faith?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Calendar number 21-162 is granted. It'll be ratified next week and we will send you a letter.
All right, thank you, board.
Thank you. Good
You're
luck,
welcome.
everyone. Mr. Burgess, don't forget to invite the board to your pool over the
There you go.
I was going to say, when is the Board of Zoning Appeals pool party?
Maybe next summer. Thank you.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. So our final case today, Madam Chair, was postponed from October 11th to today. Excuse me. And that would be calendar number 21-155 at 4302 John Avenue. Terrapin Land Holdings Limited owner proposes to make interior alterations and establish use as a design and construction office in a B1 two-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which we have two number ones, which would add up to two ordinances. And of note, this was postponed at the request of the appellant to allow time for the appellant to meet with the block club. So to Ms. Member Brown.
Okay, I am swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand and reply, I do. State your name and your address.
I do. Justin Capella, 4302 John Avenue.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I do. Donna Grigonis, 3308 Lorraine Avenue. Thank you.
I do. Matthew Moss, 601 Lakeside Avenue.
Okay, Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. In the Records Administration Office, I found that in 1915, a permit was issued to re-shingle the dwelling on site. 1937, a permit was issued for alterations to a two-story dwelling, and there was an addition to a washroom at that time, or addition of a washroom. The only variance I found in this case was calendar 18-172. A variance was granted to erect a fence that was described as a 6-foot tall shadow box fence. And the more recent history in our Acela system, we found that a certificate of disclosure was issued in 2017, stating that the use of the property was as a mixed use facility with residential. And I believe that's all that I have that's relevant, Madam Chair. Back to you.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Appellant is requesting a use variance and an area variance from the off-street parking requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the use variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship, particularly to the property, such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and the granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. Mr. Capella, go ahead, present your case.
Hi, good morning, Madam Chair and the board. Gone through. Yes, we're requesting the variance in the change of use, for the first floor. When we purchased the building, the certificate of occupancy that we received from the the selling listing agent and all of that, it has an occupancy classification of B business / R residential. So when we purchased it, it was, it has that storefront look to it. We honestly just assumed that it was all ready to go to be a business down there. We had looked at some old historical pictures. It used to be a grocery store. So we assumed that. Then when we submitted our plans, that's where we kind of got kicked back and said, okay, you need a variance. So we went through the block club and talked with the neighbors and, and got their approvals for that. So we're here today to ask about the change of use variance so that we can use that first floor for our design office. One thing to note that, yes, we are a design and construction company, but we also purchased a large warehouse over at 4914 Walworth, where all of our construction equipment, trucks, you name it, that materials, that's all there. This first floor of John Avenue will solely just be used for our interior selections by appointment only, where a client can come in, select, and again, we just do residential, so where people can come in and select their plumbing fixtures, lighting fixtures, cabinet door styles, all this stuff that we feel is a great asset to this neighborhood. We already do a lot of restoration work with clients in the neighborhood. So we feel that the change of use is, we feel is good for the neighborhood.
Thank you. I will go to Donna Bergonis since we have the very dated wrong chair letter up on the screen here. But go ahead, Donna.
Hi, good morning again, Madam Chair and members of the board. Mr. Capella did come through a design review, and that was approved. And I just want to say we appreciate that he did come to the community to get feedback on this proactively. And we don't have any issues with it, as the neighbors don't. So excited to see this building actually take some life, because it's been empty for a couple of years. So yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. I'll go to Matt Moss now.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The only thing I would add is I think this might be one of the clearer cases we have of a hardship. Even if they wanted to comply with the code, there's just not enough space to provide any more parking on this lot. So, and just given the history of the building, it seems apparent based on the history and the testimony from the applicant that this building was originally built as to be a mixed commercial space, mixed commercial and residential. So permitting that use again seems appropriate here.
Thank you. Mr. Capella, you said people that come in, it's going to be by appointment only. Is there a window of time that your offices will be open, or will it just be when you make appointments with folks? Do you just end appointments at 5 p.m. or what are your hours of operation?
Yeah, so we're here from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. So that would be the only weekly appointments, and on occasion, possibly a Saturday, but definitely not a Sunday. We've had some clients where they need to meet on a Saturday, versus an 8 o'clock at night appointment. So that would be the only time on the weekends.
Great, thank you. Okay, board, I'll entertain the motion.
Madam Chair, to Mr. Capella, is this your business then?
It is, yes.
Okay, all right. I was just looking at your prints and it looked like it was that you were the drafts person for them. So, Madam Chair, we've had positive testimony from both the CDC and the city planner for this area. The appellant has noted that they have a separate address that they use for warehousing construction of equipment and vehicles, and he's been specific with the hours. And so with all that information, I move that we go ahead and approve this variance.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Member Brown,
Barnes.
I second.
Member Barnes, second. Go ahead, call the roll, Ms. Kukla.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Fade,
Yes.
Ms. Britt.
Yes.
Calendar 21-155 is granted. It'll be ratified next week and we will send you a letter.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Capella.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thanks,
Looking-
everyone.
Looking forward to seeing your facility once you're up and running.
Oh, great. Thank you. Yeah, we're excited to get it going.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right,
That's
old
all our
business.
cases.
Yeah, old business. We got 1, 3, and 6 without objection.
Without objection.
All right, an affirmation for 1711 Bradford and 2123 West 18th Street. They're having a delay due to construction drawings, and this will be the third affirmation. Without objection, board.
No objection.
All right, that ends our old business.
Awesome.
Okay. I guess we're done. Thank you,
Guys,
everyone.
We are adjourned. Yes.
tomorrow's the big day, big changes, voting, right? It's tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
It is